Hi, for those of you who haven't met us or have only seen us online, I'm Dione from Victoria House Needlecraft. I just thought I would run through a question I'm asked a lot. Now, customers often want to know if they're getting back into their needlecraft or they're just not sure whether they should be using a hoop or a frame. Now, I have customers who come in here and I see their work and they just do it over their hand and it looks amazing. I am not one of those humans, and most people aren't, but good luck to those people who are. So I am one of those people that is a big fan of the hoop. You really can't get past something like that. Now, I like the cross stitch. I like something like this with a nice bit of room to work, no more than 30 centimetres across, because you basically need to keep the area under tension. It's simple physics that the larger the area under tension, the less it can be maintained. Now, with something like cross stitch, you're using the threads and you actually have a counterbalance of the stitch going one way and coming back. And so it doesn't need to be as taut. So when I'm asking people, or when people ask us what we think, my first question is, what are you working on? So if it's cross stitch, I'd go for a slightly larger frame. Now, and if it's something like embroidery, you've got a denser weave fabric so that you can actually get precise points. And I actually like a really little frame for that. So this is a piece I've been working on, and that one's basically a little bit bigger than the size of my palm, or it's about 10 centimetres across. So I love the fact that it's really taut and the stitches maintain their shape no matter what I do. So that's for something that where you've got really precise embroidery stitches. The downside, you're needing a smaller frame. The downside of a hoop is that you can't do that scoop stitch, which a lot of people are very fond of, sticking the needle in and then bringing it up in one movement. I like a stab stitch, and I think you'll find that your precision will be a lot better if you take that needle in and then pushing it back up in two different movements rather than that one smooth movement. It does save time, but if you're after precision, you won't get it with that. And I keep looking at this because I've never done this one before, so sorry I'm holding it up that way. Now, finally, if you're working on needlepoint, whoops, got that, or a canvas, and we do get a lot of people who are working on a round long stitch and they will choose a hoop, which I would recommend again, simply because when you've got a hoop dragging over the canvas, it distorts how it sits. And so the finished object's not going to sit properly. And so when you have a needlepoint canvas, something like this, you want it as flat as possible and you want it under tension. So as I've said before in our lap frame assembly videos, the smallest frame that will actually take the piece you're working on. So with a canvas, keep it to a scroll frame if you can. Now, there's also a really big trend at the moment with these really large pieces, like people like Heaven and Earth, and those sorts of designs. And the pieces, 600, 700 stitches in dimensions, and people are using the really big lap frames, and we've got a few customers who like that. My only concern with that, and it's really about what works for you, is the larger the thing you have to wrestle with, the more difficult it is and the more resistant you are to just picking up your work and working with it. And it's not as relaxing when you've got to wrestle with this big piece of equipment. So with something like a big piece, even though it is big, just pick your hoop up, and all of the works that are in the shop, we have quite a number, and some larger pieces, if they're cross-stitched or embroidered, they are all on hoops that we've picked up and just moved around and placed for individual pieces. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a guide. If you don't like using them, great, good on you. And but for those who do, and of course there also are those pieces that are so small that you'll just get annoyed by a frame. So hope that's helped, and if not, you can always ring us. Thanks, or come in and see us. Cheers. Thanks for your time. Bye. Oops.